I'd really like to, we can synthesize a little bit about what we discussed in the education track, but I think it's really important to open it up to everybody in the group. I mean, we talked about, social entrepreneurship is a fledgling initiative still. If you asked everyone in this room to define social entrepreneurship, you would probably get a different definition from every single person in this room. Some of us refer to it in speaking about developing context. Some of us refer to it in speaking about nonprofits. Some of us speak about it in, starting our own social ventures. Some of us speak about it from a funding perspective, from philanthropy, from corporate social responsibility. There's it's an umbrella term, and it has, a lot of different meanings. And I don't think, we as a academic community or a international NGO community or a governmental community have really answered that question yet. And yet there are people who are, it's a buzzword, it's more than a buzzword, it's a movement, it's catching on. And so how do we, put that into the form of a curriculum? And when I mentioned ecosystem a few minutes ago, I think that's what we were talking about when we were talking in the room earlier. It's about, not only what we're teaching in the classroom, it's whether it's in the architectural program, the arts and letters, in sciences, engineering, in business. It's about internships. It's about social competitions like Ian's, like what's going on tomorrow. It's about forums and events such as this where we can share and discuss and learn from each other, and maybe, carry some words of wisdom away and put those into, practice in our own communities. And I'm sure I'm missing a few other things. Gentlemen?
Yeah, I really enjoyed, first of all, our discussion this morning. I thought it was very helpful, and I've learned just as much from the audience as I hope you've learned from what we're doing at Illinois. And I would agree. I think we're still kind of searching for where is social entrepreneurship a separate field of study? Is it just embedded in entrepreneurship? And we had quite a discussion around that this morning. And I think the other thing that was important is just the sharing of resources. I know we talked about different textbooks that we're using, and we're all kind of just struggling for how do we define the curriculum, what are the core components of social entrepreneurship, how does that fit within the entrepreneurship curriculum overall. So I think, in that respect, we're all learning from each other. The other thing that really struck me this morning is we're kind of pioneers. I mean, we're trying things that have never been tried before. And there's a certain element of risk in doing that. Because, when you start out on some of the projects that we talked about, you're not really sure what the outcome's going to be. You're not really sure how students are going to react, how faculty will interact. And it's a constant learning process. So I think that we all have that element in common, that we're out there trying things and learning from that, and hopefully helping each other through our experience.
And that's the nature of who we are, though, our risk takers
Yeah.
in the field of education as entrepreneurs. And that ambiguities, we become comfortable with that. That's the nature of entrepreneurship. So but I agree with you, we're the pioneers of this field. And someone made a comment to me that after our session, there was more questions that were raised in his mind than he came here. And I believe he meant that as a compliment, because it strikes me as when you're not as close to something, you don't even know what questions to ask. So as we move forward, we're seeing more questions. And I came away with the same sense with our conversation. I still have more questions, which means I'm becoming closer to it, understanding it to the level that I can ask deeper and deeper questions. I believe that's where we are as a field, and it's very important for us to get together to discuss this and to garner from each other's best practices, thought processes, and how we can move this field forward from not just an educational perspective, but just as a legitimate field of study, both on the research side and the curriculum side and the outreach side for universities. Much of the conversation revolved around those particular issues.
Yeah, I think the topic for me that was most intriguing was this whole idea about social return. You know, what is the return on investment that, you know, we may see that kind of qualitatively, but, you know, how do you quantify that? And I think that we are just now in the very beginning in the area of really trying to understand that and create models that really resonate within the academic community, also within the social community.